What's up, everyone? It's Goose, and today I am tired of active pickups. So I'm going to be swapping out the active pickups in this guitar for some passive pickups. Currently, I have a Seymour Duncan Blackout in the bridge and an EMG 85X in the neck, which is kind of weird to be mix matching, but I actually also went through some Fishmans, the Modern Ceramic, and the Alnico. I did a shootout a while ago, you can check out that video. I ended up with having the Seymour Duncan in the bridge and the EMG 85 in the neck, just because these two had better battery life than the Fishmans. An active pickup basically acts like there's a boost between your guitar and your amp. So for someone like me who likes to take a hard rock tone and then boost it into metal, but also have the flexibility of turning that boost off and having that hard rock tone available if I need it, active pickups just aren't working for me. So I'll be going over the things that we need to change this into a passive guitar. First of all, we need the passive pickups. So I got myself a pair of Seymour Duncans, and this is the Sentient and Pegasus. The Sentient's going to be in the neck, the Pegasus is going to be in the bridge. And I chose these pickups in particular because Seymour Duncan offers them in a soap bar configuration. So if you look at these pickups right there, the mount is a soap bar style mount for active pickups. I didn't want to drill any holes, so I had to find a pickup that I felt like was close enough to my preferences in a soap bar format, and these seem to be the best choice for something that's somewhat affordable. From all the demos I've watched, the Pegasus is just a little bit warmer than my preference, which a lot of people who follow me know it's a DiMarzio Illuminator, but this, from the demos I've heard, is kind of the closest sounding, so we're going to swap this in. And I'm going to be ranting about the EQ on different pickup websites at some point in this gear journey of mine. So yeah, we're obviously going to need passive pickups for this swap, but we're also going to be needing new pots. So off of Amazon, I just found some Fender 500K pots. So I have one for tone and one for volume, and hopefully that's all I need. I haven't opened this guitar up in a bit, so I actually don't know what to expect in terms of the wiring, but I'll go over it. And we'll be doing some comparisons of the active pickups versus the passives, so I can show you what I mean by the hard rock tone that I was missing with these actives. And yeah, let's go. All right, so we got the new pickups installed. I don't have knobs for these pots yet, but I'll be getting them soon. Also, I had this little cease and desist poker chip from Chipson. Shout out to Chipson because I bought this when I saw it immediately, and I'd been wanting to use it. So the process was kind of interesting. There were a lot of extra cables in here because active just requires more cables and power. The first thing I did was actually I mounted the pickups to the guitar, and I mounted the pots to the pickguard. And the reason why I did that is not necessarily because that's the right order. I just wanted to make sure that all the cables could reach. And then when I started to solder, I started working on them on the pickguard itself. So these pickups have 5 wires coming out of them. The bare and the green go to ground. The red and the white are taped off right now, so there's no like split coil mode. And the black cable goes to this switch right here, which is your pickup selector, so it tells it to use either the bridge or the neck pickup. That then outputs to the tone pot, which then goes to the volume pot, which then goes to the output jack. Also, because this was an active guitar, this cavity right here for the battery is still there, but I kept the cables in here and I taped them off just so they don't get in the way. But in case I ever want to go back to active pickups for whatever reason, I can just do that with this. This was my first time really doing a complete swap of all the components. It was simultaneously interestingly challenging, but also not as hard as I thought. I think the most important thing is always just to check your work afterwards. I used a lot of diagrams online, and this ended up working. So let's hear it. All right, so my first impressions are that these just feel a lot less compressed. When I'm digging into the strings on these passive pickups, I feel the like dynamics of my picking attack versus like on the active pickups. I felt like there was just more of like, I guess you would kind of call it a squish, but it just felt like I wasn't able to control how hard I was attacking the strings as well. And I am a firm believer that a pickup really affects how you pick. That's something that's really hard to get across with recordings, but definitely I feel that with this guitar, even in the high gain settings. When we do the comparison of the high gain, kind of more metal tones, you might not hear too much of a difference between the active pickups and these passives here. Just commenting on the feel though, I definitely feel it, but definitely in the demo, you probably won't hear too much of a difference. However, when we get to like a mid-gain sort of hard rock tone, I feel like that's where you really start to hear a difference. So we're only going to go over the bridge pickup for this one, mainly because that's kind of what my focus is on when it comes to tone anyway. It's like rhythm on the bridge. And so let's get into the comparisons right now. Let's start off with the high gain. My thoughts on the high gain tone between the Blackouts and the Pegasus. So with my setup, I have a Boss SD1 running in front of that Friedman amp model. And as a result, I think the Blackouts actually just feel a little too boosted. I think a less kind of mid-push kind of overdrive would do better with the Blackouts, considering that active pickups technically already have that push in the pickup themselves. And so the Pegasus actually just sounds cleaner. And again, these are very small differences, and I'm fairly certain most of you would agree that they're more similar than different. But those minute differences are actually a big indicator of how different they feel when you're playing. And for the player, it's pretty different. All right, let's go to the mid-gain tones, the rock tones. And with this one, I think you'll really see what I mean. Alright, so my thoughts on the mid-gain tones. You kind of heard it in the high-gain section, but really here you kind of start to hear that the pickups for the Blackouts, but here you kind of start to hear that the Blackouts really want to get into that metal territory, where I'm just trying to get kind of a good rock tone. And I actually thought about this before if I just turned the gain down on the amp model itself, and it really doesn't clean up that well. Hearing the Pegasus after the Blackouts, you might be led to believe that like, oh, there's just a ton less gain. But really, in my opinion, it just feels kind of like there's just more clarity. The Blackouts have this like weird kind of cocked wah sound to them a little bit that even turning the gain down on my amp really didn't get rid of. So yeah, I'm actually really excited about going to passives on this guitar specifically. I've had this on actives for so long, and I've become so accustomed to using my other guitars with passives that I stopped playing this guitar a little bit. And I really liked playing it, like the ergonomics of the guitar body itself, but I always had to have a patch specifically for this guitar, and it's kind of annoying to have a patch for a specific guitar in my opinion. But some of you might disagree, some of you might like the Blackouts better, maybe they sound better to your ears. Yeah, let me know if that is the case in the comments down below. Look forward to seeing a lot more of this guitar in demos in the future. A lot of the gear demos I was using with active pickups, whether they were Fishmans, EMGs, or Blackouts, they tend to get rid of the signature sound of the specific amplifier or pedal that I'm trying to demo. They impart their own character onto those amps, and I really didn't like using those for demos. So I'm really happy to have the Pegasus in this guitar so I can use this guitar more in videos in the future. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. If you like this video, consider hitting like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Later!